You walk into the building thinking it's a school. You sit straight, take notes, and raise your hand with careful questions. But this is not a classroom. This is a court. There are banners you cannot see, budgets, deadlines, reputations, and every hallway is a corridor of influence. The throne is empty until someone claims it with a sentence that sets the terms. You keep waiting for someone older, louder, or friendlier to define the game. Meanwhile, the game defines you. In a classroom, the teacher rewards curiosity. In a court, curiosity without purpose is read as weakness. Judges don't ask for permission to judge. Princes do not poll the room to see if their crown fits. Workplaces look polite, but they run on verdicts. Who frames the issue decides the stakes, the evidence, and the winner. When you open with a question, what do we think? How should we start? You announce that your authority is somewhere else. You place your sword on another table. The room hears you say that someone else is in charge. A frame is a wall raised in one breath. Our goal is X by Y with Z constraints. That one sentence draws borders around chaos. People can fight inside it, but now they fight on your terrain without a frame. Meetings become alleys where the loud hunt the timid. You have felt this. The marketing lead widens the scope. The engineer narrows it. Finance drags the numbers across the floor, and you nod like a host, hoping everyone has a good time. By the end, there is no time left. The project leaves the room bleeding time. Questions are not neutral. They are tribute. Each question you toss to the room pays tax to someone else's certainty. After 10 questions, you have funded a rival throne. This is why those who answer confidently seem to rise while you do the labor. They are not smarter, they are seated. They spoke the first sentence that sounded like law. This launch has 3 phases. Phase 1 is non-negotiable. They did not wait to be allowed. They framed, and the room leaned in because people are tired of fog. Start noticing how tribute works in street-level scenes. The client call where you say, "What's the best way to proceed?" The sales huddle where you ask, "Any thoughts on priorities?" The product review where you begin, "Should we rethink the scope?" Every line hands your steering wheel to whoever grabs it fastest. Instead, begin with a throne. We proceed with option A for 2 weeks, measure conversion, and kill it if it misses 10%. Questions after. The same room, the same people, but now the gravity shifts to you. The debate narrows, the path appears, you own the clock. Machiavelli knew the mercy of decision. People forgive the decisive faster than the uncertain because decisiveness creates a path, even if it has potholes. The team will accept a rough map. They will not forgive a guide who keeps asking which direction north is. A boss remembers your outcomes, not your intentions. A client remembers the delivery, not the discussion. Under pressure, uncertainty multiplies like rats. Leaders bring cats. You fear that framing will make you arrogant, but arrogance is not the hazard. Drift is framed with evidence, and your authority becomes a service. Here's the plan, here's why, here's the risk. You are not silencing voices, you are giving them walls to bounce against. You are building a court where justice can happen quickly. And when you are wrong, and you will be, you adjust the frame publicly. Revised target, same purpose. People will forgive the pivot because you carried the weight. Today, stop asking to be chosen. Choose. Walk into the next meeting and claim the empty throne with one clean, bounded sentence. Name the goal, the constraint, the first move. Invite debate after the line is drawn, not before. If someone tries to expand the battlefield, hold the frame, not today. Phase 2. Watch how the air changes. Watch how the noise falls. Watch how your work finally moves. Decide the frame, and the frame decides the outcome. He who seeks to be good all the time will come to ruin among the great number who are not good. You ask the room, "What do you all think?" And the air changes. It looks polite, it sounds inclusive, but something sharp slides across the table. The loudest chair leans forward. The clever face does math on your kindness. You have not invited wisdom, you have surrendered jurisdiction. Consensus feels like a warm blanket, but it is a blanket placed over your eyes. The meeting becomes a market, and your crown goes to the highest bidder in confidence, volume, or politics. Watch the sequence. One voice stretches the scope. Another adds just one more feature. A third delays the deadline for quality. You nod to be fair. By the time the last nod finishes, you no longer lead the project. You are hosting it. The room smiles, but the schedule dies. The trap is not the ask, it is the posture. When you ask before you frame, you hold out your empty hands and wait for a gift that will not come. In a crisp boardroom with a long screen, in a startup stand-up around a whiteboard, at a sales huddle in a noisy cafe, the same rule applies. Whoever defines the terms wins the day. The moment you say, "What do you all think we should do?" you plant a flag on neutral ground. Neutral ground belongs to whoever moves first. The loud seat moves first. The seasoned skeptic questions the entire premise and becomes the new center. You are now orbiting someone else's moon. Consensus looks like love because everyone gets to speak. But when everyone is in charge, no one is accountable. The decision spreads thin, like butter across too much bread, until there is no flavor, only grease. You think inclusion will buy safety. What it buys is delays you cannot afford. Notice your calendar. Notice the alignment meeting that leads to the follow-up meeting that spawns the quick sync that demands the decision review. Notice how the work hides under the meetings like a fugitive. Approval is traded like a currency, and the needy always pay full price. You think you are building goodwill. You are broadcasting a discount sign. My confidence is on sale. The shrewd buyer arrives. They trade you their sign-off in exchange for scope, headcount, or time. They will say, "I can support this if you add my use case." Another will say, "I'll approve if we push this to next quarter." That is not support. That is polite extortion. They do not hand you love. They rent you silence, and it expires when you need it most. In the hallway, people praise your niceness. In the inbox, they revise your plan. A senior stakeholder replies, "Looks good, but let's not commit until legal weighs in." Legal replies, "Looks good, but not without security's review." Security replies, "Looks good, but we need vendor compliance." Every looks good is a leash. Tug, tug, tug. The dog wears a bow but still goes where the leash leads. Approval seeking turns your calendar into a kennel. You think you are being considerate. You are in fact being herded. There is a reason the needy lose negotiations. The other side senses your hunger. Hunger has a smell. It smells like extra clarifications, like over-apologies, like just circling back, like no worries if not. A confident opponent will give you praise instead of terms. They will say, "Love the energy," while they take a bigger slice. They will say, "You're so collaborative," while they move the gateposts one more yard. You walk away with compliments in your pocket and a deadline that just slipped out the back door. Democracy of input is not the same as democracy of rule. In a city you listen. In a ship you command. A city thrives on debate and slow laws. A ship sinks if the crew votes during a storm. Your team is not a senate, it is a vessel crossing a deadline. You can hear voices without handing them the wheel. The myth says that the crowd, if asked long enough, will produce genius. In practice, the crowd produces averages, compromises, and a fog thick enough to park in. Genius does not come from polling. It comes from a responsible mind absorbing facts, setting a direction and taking the hit if wrong. Look at the job sites. The foreman listens to the worker who knows the soil, but the foreman sets the pour. He does not ask the concrete for permission to harden. In the kitchen, the head chef hears the line cooks, but the head chef calls the ticket order. If a plate dies in the window, the chef owns it. That is responsibility, not tyranny. You can be princely without being cruel. You can ask for input without abdicating the throne. The rule is simple. Frame first, then ask, "We're shipping option A in 3 sprints. What blind spots do we see?" Now the conversation sharpens. Now you hear useful warnings, not power plays. Princely responsibility is not a costume. It is a contract with reality. You promise the room that you will convert resources into outcomes and accept the consequence if you fail. When you say, "We will do X by Y," you place your name next to the wall. People respect a leader who stands where bricks can fall. They do not respect a leader who hovers like mist over the site. When you hold the frame, you free others to be excellent inside it. The designer designs. The engineer engineers. The marketer markets. No one wastes half a day arguing what done means. You fear being harsh. The truth is kinder. Clarity is mercy. Niceness that avoids decision is a slow cruelty that drags everyone through sludge. A clean no delivered early saves weekends and marriages. A firm yes bounded by constraints saves budgets and nerves. You are not building a fan club, you are building a corridor where work can run without tripping. So end the false comfort. Do not ask, what do you all think we should do? Ask, after you frame, what could break this plan? Do not beg for approval. Offer a path. Let people test the strength of your walls, not redraw them while you smile. Respect the voices. Keep the crown. Seek counsel widely. Rule the frame tightly. You were trained to survive by asking if it was safe to move. You learned that permission kept the peace, and peace kept the roof from shaking. That lesson worked then. It betrays you now. In rooms where power decides outcomes, the habit of asking is not childlike humility. It is inherited caution wearing adult clothes. The child who asked permission still lives in your hands. You hesitate at doorways already open. You look for a nod that never comes, so you build a shrine to delay. As a kid, you memorized rules. Don't upset, don't fail, don't speak too soon. Praise arrived when you were adaptable, quiet, agreeable. Punishment arrived when you were bold, loud, certain. So you hid your certainty and mastered small, safe questions. That script is loyal. It keeps delivering comfort even when comfort costs you the crown. Now you are an adult with a title and a budget, yet you still perform the childhood ballet. You preface decisions with softeners. Just a thought. Maybe we could. Curious what others think. You float a suggestion like a paper boat and pray no one rocks the water. You call it collaboration, but your pulse tells the truth. You are bargaining with ghosts. You are trading the present for a truce with the past. Empathy for that child is fair. Worship is not, you owe the child protection, not the throne. Rejection, once a thunderclap, became policy. You built a government inside yourself with fear as the minister of defense. Fear writes memos. Fear drafts laws. The first law, never be the only one to blame. The second, always leave an exit. The third, let time make the decision for you. So you hedge, you say we might explore. You stack caveats like sandbags before a storm. You schedule a quick sync to dodge a direct call. You postpone while telling yourself you are prudent. Meanwhile, competitors ship. Look at your inbox. See the phrases that betray you. Light touch, no pressure, open to feedback, could be wrong here. None of these are evil. They are useful in small doses. But when they dominate your language, they declare policy, avoid rejection at all costs. In negotiations, this policy pays too much. In planning, it buys time with interest. In relationships, it offers compliance instead of clarity. People feel it. Your uncertainty becomes a climate. Adopt a machinist's eye. Diagnose the fear. Don't dramatize it. Where does it seize you before the meeting at the first slide? When the VP sighs. When did rejection cost you something? Count the times. Fear claims 1,000 scars. Reality grants far fewer. Now design counterlaws. First counterlaw, decide in writing before the room. Second, state purpose and constraint in the first breath. Third, ask for objections after you set the route. Train on small bets until decisiveness feels normal. Your fear insists it is protecting relationships. It is not. It is protecting your image from the short sting of a no. A leader's image is not a glass vase. It is a tool. Let it get scratched by reality. People respect the person who risks being disliked for an hour to deliver a result for a quarter. They do not admire the agreeable tide that moves without moving anything. Niceness, when it hides a dread of blame, becomes camouflage. You learned early, if you are helpful, you will be safe. You offered to carry everyone's bags so no one would throw stones. At work, you carry calendars, notes, summaries, follow-ups. You become indispensable in a way that makes you replaceable, valuable glue, but not the beam. You call it service. Often it is avoidance wrapped in a ribbon. Watch how camouflage operates under pressure. When stakes rise, you offer to pull a dock together instead of drawing the boundary. You propose another round of feedback instead of refusing scope creep. You talk about alignment when you mean I am afraid to say no. The camouflage works until delivery. Then the bill arrives. Everyone remembers that you were in charge, even if you acted like you were not. The blame you feared comes anyway, plus interest because the work lacked a spine. Strip the camouflage and you will not become cruel. You will become legible. Say this feature is out for this release. Say we do A now, B later. Say if it fails, it's on me. The room exhales, resistance remains, but confusion drops. The honest no hurts for minutes and heals for months. The dishonest maybe comforts for minutes and injures for months. Choose your pain. There is a deeper reason you cling to niceness. It lets you feel moral while evading risk. Machiavellian realism does not ask you to abandon morality. It asks you to measure it by outcomes, not intentions. If your niceness produces sloppy work and exhausted teams, it is not moral, it is cosmetic. Replace cosmetics with craft. Craft is the ethics of results, clear frames, hard choices, visible ownership. Hold a simple mirror each morning. What am I avoiding because I fear the feeling after a hard decision? Name the feeling, shame, heat, the buzz behind the eyes. Then plan for it. A boxer does not pretend punches will not land. He trains to absorb and respond. You can train your nervous system. Before a meeting, breathe slowly for 2 minutes. Write the first sentence you will say. Decide one non-negotiable. Promise yourself to accept 10 seconds of silence rather than flee into a question that hands away the wheel. Do not shame the shadow. Recruit it. The part of you that fears rejection is also the part that senses danger earlier than others. Use it to scan for real risks, not imaginary punishments. Give it a job. Tell me what could break the plan, then step back. The shadow wants a seat. It should not have the gavel. When you treat it like a counselor, not a king, it becomes valuable instead of tyrannical. Your biography explains your reflexes. It does not excuse your results. The market does not care about the family museum in your chest. It cares whether you ship. Be kind to your history, yes. But remember the city you work in now. Clients, competitors, clocks. This city rewards the person who defines the street and walks it. You do not need a new soul. You need new rules. Frame before you ask. Decide before you enter. Own the consequence aloud. This is not bravado, it is adult courage, the antidote to childhood permission. When you move first, fear moves second. Respect the wound, command the wheel. He who is the cause of another becoming powerful is ruined. 9 people on a call, the clock crawls. You open with kindness. What does everyone think? Pelance, then turbulence. Marketing widens the canvas for a teaser video. Engineering insists the API must be rebuilt. Finance wants a new forecast. Legal clears a careful throat. Sales leans in with one more feature to keep a prospect warm. Your agenda slides off the table. The meeting eats time like a furnace. You keep nodding because nodding feels like control, but nods are receipts. The room keeps the goods. You wanted collaboration and invited a carnival. Someone argues to widen the beta. Someone else to tighten it. A third wants to pause for quality. You think you're building a bridge with their ideas. You are paving a parking lot where cars just circle. By the end, everything is to be discussed. You thank everyone and your deadline slips out the side door, hat in hand. Kindness, unsigned, becomes a blank check. Others spend it. Next day, a new stakeholder joins. Word spreads when there is room to rearrange the furniture. They pull a chair to the head of your table because you left it empty. Scope balloons, timelines shrink. Just to be safe, lands like a sandbag, and the plan cannot breathe. Let's collect more data, someone says. It sounds wise, it is anesthesia. The patient sleeps while the tumor grows. You defended nothing because you framed nothing. The project is publicly alive and privately dying. Then comes blame season. A VP asks why the pilot is late. You explain your careful alignment, your consideration for quality, your diligence across teams. The VP does not nod. Who decided that? The gallery of good intentions turns to stone. No one stands with you now. Each opinion felt like a friend when you were collecting them. Under audit light, they become fingerprints on your drowning coat. Good teammate, good listener, good host. The pilot misses, and all your goodness reads as absence. Death by 1,000 opinions looks like productivity up close. Slack threads grow like ivy. Docs multiply and differ by a comma. You search old sentences for courage, reopen decks at midnight to move a paragraph that never mattered. Schedule another quick sync to avoid a clean call. Decision fatigue becomes a climate, not a moment. Diluted accountability feels like safety until the bill arrives with your name printed at the bottom. The cuts are small, deniable, constant. Paper can shred a throat. You go home with the office still humming in your skull. At dinner, you're present but ghostly. Your partner asks about your day. You say busy, you mean adrift. At 11 p.m., you draft a message asking for quick confirmation on the new timeline. Because being the one who chooses feels heavier than sleep, you delete it. You write it again. You send. Morning brings 3 different yes, but replies conditional, cautious, none final. Your chest tightens. Reputation feels like a rope going thin. Loneliness stalks the eager servant. You expected loyalty to return on the same truck you loaded with favors. Instead, people like you and do not follow you. They appreciate your flexibility and do not bet on your word. You become a soft surface others press needs into. Helpful, yes. Hollow, too. There is a fatigue that coffee cannot touch, the kind that comes from carrying a title like an apology. Then the mirror of consequence arrives, hard and clean. It does not care about kindness. It does not weigh courtesy. It displays a ledger shipped or not, closed or open, hit or miss. You argue with it in your mind, but I meant well. I included everyone. I tried to be fair. The mirror does not speak. It reflects. That is its cruelty. That is its mercy. Outcomes are public. Intentions are private. The crowd judges the public thing. You remember the old realism, men judge more by what they see than what they feel. They saw drift, they judge drift. The market does not read Slack. Clients pay invoices, not apologies. You notice how your questions armed others. Each "what should we do?" handed out a sword. He who is the cause of another becoming powerful is ruined. You made other people's preferences king, and now they rule your calendar, your budget, your name. So you stand in the rubble of a friendly process and feel a new identity assembling, colder, cleaner, not the pleaser, not the parliament. A builder of corridors, not lounges. You picture a hallway with doors on both sides and a single exit at the end. Your job is not to keep everyone chatting in the hall. Your job is to walk them to the exit and push the bar. Power without theatrics is the quiet act that turns plans into results. You count your errors like a commander after a failed campaign. First, framing late, so others framed first. Second, mistaking noise for counsel. Third, trying to buy universal comfort when local pain would have saved the schedule. You do not hate the room, you tighten it. You do not resent the voices, you route them through narrow stone and let the water drive the mill. Realism is not meanness. It is mercy for timelines, mercy for teams, mercy for clients who need delivery more than declarations. What cracked was not your heart, it was your approach. The good teammate identity split because it stood on the wrong rock. You thought approval was armor and softness was trust. In storms, armor is structure and trust is delivery. You will still listen, but inside a boundary, you will still care. But for the outcome first, because outcomes feed families, preserve reputations, keep lights on, you will let someone dislike you for an hour, so the team can respect you for a quarter. Tomorrow, when the next meeting opens, you will not beg the crowd to lead you. You will state the frame, the constraint, the first move. You will invite objections only after the road is drawn. Someone will dislike it. Good. Dislike proves the decision is real. Someone will try to expand the stage. You will hold the curtain. The room may warm to you later. It will work with you now, and when the ledger returns, it will show motion, not chatter. Kindness is a virtue. Clarity is a duty. Men in general judge more by the eye than by the hand. You've been working under a spell. If they like you, they will follow you. It feels humane. It feels safe. But organizations are not romances. They are engines. They demand fuel, friction, and motion. Affection is a wind that changes. Reliability is a road. If you want real loyalty, stop chasing hearts and start delivering hours, budgets, and results that arrive when you said they would. The room does not love you for your warmth. It respects you for your weight. Stop chasing affection. Start printing value. Value is a pattern, not a speech. On Monday, you declare a target. On Friday, you show numbers against it. You say 3 sprints, 2 milestones, 1 owner, then you hit the first milestone at 95% of scope and 100% of the date. People remember that you called the shot and then walk the ball to the marker. Predictability is mercy. Watch how predictability becomes a love language in every corner of the firm. The client who used to call at midnight stops calling because your delivery memo lands 1 day early with clean metrics and a rollback plan. The finance partner who guarded headcount gives you an extra analyst because your forecasts track within 3% of actuals. The engineer who distrusted management volunteers for your next build because your specs don't wander. You did not charm them. You gave them oxygen, no surprises, no silent failures. Respect before warmth. Trust grows around clarity and consequence. You say what will happen, and if it does not, you absorb the hit without excuse. That is how adults bond under pressure. It isn't poetry, it's brick and beam. Scope A by May 30th. Risk data dependency. Mitigation stub service by May 10th. If the stub fails, we cut personalization. That sentence earns more trust than 10 minutes of uplift. People listen for edges they can lean on. Charm cushions, feelings, edges hold weight. Think of leadership like a contract written in public. Article 1, I will define reality. Article 2, I will choose a path. Article 3, I will carry blame. When you live that contract, you become predictable in the only way that matters. Your words cash. Warmth can follow. It often does. But it follows the ledger, not the vibe. The team does not need a camp counselor. They need a foreman who counts the loads and closes the gate. Move from questions to declarations. Replace what should we do with here's our frame, here's why. Not arrogance, architecture. Purpose, increase conversion 12% in Q3. Constraint, no new back-end services. Decision, ship 2 high-impact experiments, A/B for 2 weeks each. Consequence, if we're below 8% by week 2, we pivot to pricing. That paragraph is a doorway. People can walk through and do their best work. You also invite the right kind of pushback. Security risk in experiment 2. Data sample is thin. Extend a week. Train your mouth to make doors. First sentence, always the door. Then questions, never before. Architect the talk time. 2 minutes to frame, 8 to test, 5 to commit. Write the commitment where everyone can see it. Date, owner, metric, review point. Set the review before the meeting ends. That is leader language, because it anchors the future to a stake in the ground. You are not improvising a feeling, you are building a schedule. You worry that declaring will make you cold. The truth is colder. Drifting kills warmth anyway. Missed deadlines breed whispers. Slipped quality spreads blame like mold. Teams fracture into soft factions that hug on Slack and harden in private. Decisive framing, delivered steady and fair, prevents rot. You become the person who says the line and stands on it. People anchor to that, they sleep better. Their weekends return. That is kindness measured in calendars. Measure yourself by what removes fear from the room. Fear hides in fog, unclear goals, elastic scopes, vanishing dates. Your job is a weather change. You burn the fog, you light the path with constraints as lanterns. We do not hire for this. We cut scope B. We ship A on this date and own the result. Someone will scowl, let them. The human heart learns to trust the wall that stands, not the curtain that waves. A final pivot. If you need warmth, earn it from the outcome. Celebrate on time, in public, and by name. Deliver the praise like a paycheck. Regular, deserved, specific. Keep your own praise short. Keep your commitments long. When you miss, speak first, explain briefly, repair loudly. That is how respect turns into real affection, the kind that survives messy quarters. Usefulness creates loyalty because usefulness cannot be faked. It's there, or the ledger says otherwise. This is the reframe. It was never love, it was reliability, seen with the eye, proved by the hand. Build that, and the room will follow you even when the hill is steep, even when the wind is against you, even when your voice shakes and your plan must change mid-stride. They will not follow because you are nice. They will follow because you make it safer to win. Earn affection through outcomes. Speak in frames, deliver in dates. Steal without noise. That is what authority feels like when it is trained, not faked. You will not shout to own the room. You will build the room, brick by brick, sentence by sentence, until the walls hold and the weather changes in your favor. Begin with the 4 frames of command. They are simple. They end drift before it starts. First, the purpose frame. Our aim is X by Y. One line that points the army at the hill. You say increase weekly active users by 12% by June 30th. Not a dream, a target with a date. People can push against vagueness forever. They can only march toward a number. Second, the constraint frame, budget, time, and non-negotiables. A frame without edges is a puddle. You say, no new back-end services, 2 designers only. Launch must fit current SLOs. Now the edges hold. Third, the decision frame, options on the table, and the choice. You say, we considered A and B, we choose A. Ownership begins at the verb. Fourth, the consequence frame, what happens if reality resists? You say, if we slip by a week, we cut personalization. If errors rise, we roll back. These 4 sentences are not theater. They are rails. They turn a meeting from fog into track. Use the 4 frames everywhere. A client call, a stand-up, a late email. Write them like a drill: purpose, constraint, decision, consequence. Repeat until it becomes muscle. You are not performing confidence. You are expressing structure. When a partner challenges you, point to the frames, not your feelings. Constraint 2 prohibits that. The consequence already covers it. Arguments shrink, work grows. Now ritual. Authority cannot be a mood. It must be a habit you can do on a bad day with little sleep. The first ritual, the first statement beats the first question. Enter every room ready to speak a clean opening line. Here is the frame. We will test 2 ideas for 2 weeks. Then we commit. If you ask first, the room builds a new world. If you state first, the room tests the world you built. The second ritual, time box debate. Limit discussion so thinking burns clean, not forever. We have 8 minutes. After that, we choose. The third ritual, name the trade-off aloud. Speed over perfect coverage because the quarter closes in 6 weeks. The fourth ritual, write the rule of 3, goal, metric, deadline, where everyone can see it. Rules written are rules remembered. Practice these rituals on small things until your nervous system trusts them on big things. The hallway chat. The vendor ping, the tiny meeting that usually drifts. Authority grows by repetition, not by speeches about authority. Like a craftsman, you set tools out in the same order every morning until your hands move before doubt speaks. Steel needs silence. Strategic silence is not passive, it is a blade. Use it to assert the frame without fighting. When someone tries to widen scope after you state constraints, stay silent for 3 beats. Let the room feel the weight of what was just asked. Then say, calm and plain, out of frame. Do not justify, wander, or apologize. The frame is the law. The law does not chatter. If they push again, repeat once, out of frame. The third time, escalate to consequence. We can add that in phase 2 or we miss the date. Silence also protects you from panic. When a senior name challenges your decision in front of the team, do not fill the air with explanations. Hold the pause. Breathe once, return to the frames. Purpose holds, constraint holds, consequence is public. If we change, we slip a week. If they overrule you, accept it cleanly and write the new frame immediately. The team watches less what you win and more how you hold ground, absorb change, and keep the plan coherent. Calm is contagious. It instructs the room how to behave under pressure. Refuse scope creep in plain words. That request breaks constraint 2. Declined for this phase. No sarcasm, no heat. Cold water puts out small fires. Offer a legitimate path forward. Phase 2, a separate ticket. A date when the constraint lifts. Gatekeeping without gateways creates rebels. Gatekeeping with gateways creates allies who learn the rhythm. Focus now, flex later. Protect plans with public commitments. Private confidence is cheap. Public checkpoints are costly and therefore credible. End meetings with dates, owners, and a one-line plan posted where everyone can see it. Owner Marta. Metric activation up 5% by June 14th. Review June 17th, 9 a.m. When you make the commitment public, you turn fog into stone. People move differently around stone. They prepare and feel the pressure that produces real work. Under uncertainty, action clarifies where thinking cannot. When data is thin, design a reversible test with a tiny blast radius. Your courage should be precise, not theatrical. Ship experiment to 10% of traffic for 48 hours. Roll back if error rates exceed 1%. You are not gambling. You are buying information with discipline. The room learns that waiting forever is not a virtue. Measured motion is. You will be tempted to soften every hard edge with polite cushions. Resist. Use courteous tone. Keep firm geometry. Hard edges distribute load. They let others plan, spend, and sleep. Soft edges please for a minute and cost for a month. Speak like a builder. Short beams, clean joints, weight-bearing verbs. Decide, ship, review. The music of command is not loud, it is steady. Train the shadow itself. The part of you that craves permission is quick to sense danger. Give it a job. Before each meeting, have it list 3 risks to the frame. Prepare answers in 1 line each. Then tell it to sit down. Anxiety without assignment will hijack the wheel. Anxiety with a task becomes a guard at the gate. You do not erase fear, you weaponize it. Remember, many will forgive strong choices. Few forgive unclear ones. When you frame, ritualize, stay silent at the right moments, refuse creep and commit in public. You buy your team the rarest resource, predictable days, that is leadership as service, not performance. The room grows quieter. The work moves faster. You feel less heroic and more useful. You are not becoming cruel. You are becoming coherent. You are not chasing control. You are building channels where energy cannot spill. This is how a river cuts stone, not with noise, with direction. Choose the frames. Practice the rituals. Hold your silence. Speak plain refusals. Post public commitments. Under uncertainty, move. Calm frame, clean rules, visible courage. Order is mercy when it spares people from the storm. You could have prevented, you choose peace, not by asking for it, but by building it, line by line, frame by frame. Peace is the dividend of clarity. When you enter a room with a clean purpose, tight constraints, a visible decision, and a consequence already named, the tension drops a full degree. Meetings end early because there is nothing left to chase in circles. The loudest voice loses its megaphone when the road is already drawn. Designers stop guessing. Engineers stop rewriting the map. Sales stops promising ghosts. Clients hear dates, not echoes. The calendar breathes again. People go home on time and sleep like citizens of a city with walls. You will see the change in small ways first. Fewer quick syncs, shorter threads. Notes that read like commitments instead of diaries. A stand-up where 3 sentences settle the path. Aim, limit, move. Then the larger signals arrive, faster wins, fewer escalations, a reputation for reliability that travels farther than any speech. This is not magic, it is the arithmetic of focus. Remove the guesswork and you remove the friction. Remove the friction and you release speed. A leader worth following is not a performer. You are a steward of pressure. People relax when someone holds the line without drama. You do not need sharp elbows. You need a steady hand. Hold the plan the way a mason holds a level, quietly, constantly, with no apology for gravity. When the wind rises, you speak 1 sentence that restores the floor. The purpose stands, we adjust scope, not the date. Warmth returns when dread exits. Authority becomes humane when it protects time, attention, and sleep. You will be tempted to prove kindness with softness. Resist, prove kindness with structure. Structure preserves dignity. It stops the meeting that devours weekends. It guards the junior from sudden blame. It keeps favors from turning into chains. When you draw the line clearly, even those who disagree feel safer. They may oppose the decision, but they trust the court. That is the kind of peace grown-ups can live in. Make it daily. Power without ritual fades into mood. Take an oath you can keep on your worst morning. First, set purpose. Today our aim is X by Y. Say it aloud or write it where eyes can land. Second, state constraints, the money, the people, the rules that will not bend. Third, decide, choose A or B, and mark the owner. Fourth, own consequence. What you will cut or change if reality pushes back. Then do the smallest action that proves you meant it. Send the one-line plan, book the review, kill the extra thread. Guard your peace with simple counters to chaos. When a request arrives that widens the river, reply, out of frame for this phase. Propose in the next. When someone tries to buy your approval with praise, trade only in terms, date, scope, metric. When fear rises, use the drill, breathe, restate the 4 frames, move a single square. Peace is not a mood you wait for. It is a border you maintain. And when you fail, and you will, you repair in the open. You speak first, you speak briefly, and you reset the frame the same day. Teams forgive the decisive faster than the uncertain, because decisiveness carries the cost. That is why order, held firmly and fairly, feels like mercy. It saves people from confusion, from waste, from the quiet cruelty of endless maybe. Choose peace, not the fragile peace that fears a hard word, but the durable peace that hard words build. Make the frame, hold the line, accept the weight, and give the city back its sleep. Clarity first, then calm, then courage.